Welcome to your daily news deep dive. Today I guess you could say we're wading into some murky waters.
Murky waters.
Yeah, cybersecurity is making waves. There's all this ransomware stuff with gangs exploiting zero-day flaws. And then we have a massive botnet targeting Microsoft 365 accounts.
Right. No.
Plus, we'll try to unpack some political drama, including how former President Trump is shaping the media landscape.
Sounds like we have a lot to cover.
Yeah, so buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride.
Indeed. We do have a lot to cover today, starting with, I guess it makes sense to start with the ever-evolving landscape of cyber threats.
Right. So let's start with ransomware. We all know it's been a persistent issue, but 2024 saw a record number of attacks.
Yeah, that's right.
And 2025 seems to be following suit. Why should this be ringing alarm bells for everyone? I mean, not just tech folks, right?
Well, it's all about our increasing reliance on digital systems. It makes us all vulnerable. Think about it. From banking to healthcare, even our grocery shopping, our lives are interwoven with technology. So this makes these attacks more impactful than ever. They can disrupt essential services, compromise sensitive data, and even have physical consequences.
I see. Okay, so ransomware is a big deal. But what makes these recent attacks particularly alarming?
One major factor is the exploitation of zero-day vulnerabilities. There are software flaws that are unknown to the developers, so no patch exists.
Ah, I see.
So a recent example of this is a flaw in the Paragon Partition Manager, specifically in the biontdrv.sys driver.
The buy and wait?
biontdrv.sys driver. It might sound like technical jargon,
It does.
but essentially it means attackers have found a secret backdoor into these systems.
Oh, wow.
And they're actively using it to launch ransomware attacks. And since there's no fix, it's like leaving your front door wide open.
So they're essentially breaking into systems through a secret backdoor, and we don't even know what's happening until it's too late.
Exactly. And to make matters worse, sophisticated ransomware gangs, like Dragon Force, Dragon Force specifically targets Saudi Arabia. They're utilizing these vulnerabilities, and the impact can be devastating. Imagine losing access to your bank account or having your company's entire network shut down.
Yeah, that is a scary thought. It feels like we need to be constantly on guard. Is there any good news on the cybersecurity front at all?
Actually, yes, there is. Microsoft recently disrupted a cybercrime ring abusing their Azure OpenAI service.
Wait, hold on. Criminals are using AI. That sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie.
It does, doesn't it? It just shows how criminals are quick to adapt and exploit emerging technologies. In this case, they were using unauthorized access to what's called generative AI, Gen AI, to create harmful content, like incredibly convincing phishing scams or spear phishing emails that look totally legitimate, so people are more likely to fall victim.
So AI can be used to create convincing fake news articles or emails that trick us into giving away sensitive information.
Precisely. But the good news is Microsoft took swift legal action and dismantled the operation.
No, it's good.
Yeah. And they're working to prevent future misuse, which is definitely reassuring.
Yeah, that is reassuring, but it also makes you realize we're all walking this tightrope in this digital age.
For sure.
Speaking of tech giants, Mozilla, they face quite a bit of backlash over their updated Firefox terms of service.
Really? What happened?
Well, initially it sounded like they were claiming ownership of any user uploaded data.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, people are increasingly aware of how valuable their data is and who has access to it.
Yeah.
So Mozilla has since revised the terms to clarify their intentions.
Good.
But it serves as a reminder, we need to carefully read and understand the terms and conditions we agree to online and be proactive about protecting our digital footprint.
I totally agree with that.
Absolutely. Speaking of threats that hit closer to home, let's talk about the potential dangers of hacking into something, well, you might not expect this, but smart solar systems.
Smart solar systems.
Yeah. I mean, they are becoming more common, but are we opening ourselves up to a new kind of vulnerability?
Yeah, this is a concerning trend. As our reliance on renewable energy grows, so does the potential for cyber attacks on critical infrastructure.
I see.
Imagine hackers exploiting security flaws in these systems to cause widespread blackouts, disrupt the power grid, or even damage equipment.
Wow.
That could have serious consequences for individuals, businesses, and even national security.
So even our efforts to go green could backfire if we don't prioritize security. It's a stark reminder that cybersecurity needs to be a top priority in every sector, especially as our world becomes increasingly interconnected.
Precisely. We need to view cybersecurity as a fundamental aspect of any system, from personal devices to national infrastructure. The threat is real, and the consequences can be severe.
And to add to our growing list of concerns, there's a massive botnet a network of infected computers that is targeting Microsoft 365 accounts. Over 130,000 devices have already been compromised.
Oh, wow. So this particular botnet uses a technique called password spraying. Attackers use common passwords, like password 123 or QWERTY, to try and gain access to a large number of accounts.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
And it's surprisingly effective because many people still use weak and easily guessable passwords.
So if you are using one of those simple passwords, you're practically inviting hackers in. What can our listeners do to protect themselves from this?
The first step is to create strong, unique passwords for each of your online accounts. A strong password should be at least 12 characters long and include a mix of upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols.
Right.
You can use a password manager to help you generate and store these complex passwords, and wherever possible, enable multi-factor authentication. This adds an extra layer of security by requiring you to confirm your identity through a separate device, like your phone.
Good advice. It feels like we are constantly bombarded with news about these cyber attacks. It can feel overwhelming. What's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember in this digital age?
I would say cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. Stay informed about the latest threats, practice good cyber hygiene, and be proactive about protecting your data. It's an ongoing process, but it's essential for safeguarding our digital lives.
Well said. Now let's step out of the digital world for a moment and into the sometimes murky waters of politics. Former President Trump has been making headlines with some controversial moves, starting with a rather unusual decision regarding media coverage.
Oh, really? I am interested to hear more. What did he do this time?
During a White House meeting with the Ukrainian president, Trump reportedly replaced American media with Russian state agents.
Wow. That raises some important questions about potential foreign influence on U.S. media coverage.
Definitely.
Yeah, we need to analyze the implications of this move and consider the potential biases at play.
It's a reminder that we need to be critical thinkers when consuming news.
Yeah.
We should be aware of the potential for manipulation, regardless of the source.
Yeah.
We need to verify information, consider different perspectives, and be wary of potential agendas.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the headlines, but developing those critical thinking skills is more crucial now than ever.
Absolutely right. Blindly accepting information just because it comes from a familiar outlet can be risky. We need to be discerning consumers of information.
Shifting gears slightly, Trump is also facing backlash for allegedly breaking a campaign promise related to IVF treatments.
This is a sensitive issue, and the backlash is understandable.
Right.
Many people feel betrayed by the alleged broken promise, especially those who rely on these treatments to start families.
Yeah, true.
Access to healthcare, particularly reproductive healthcare, is incredibly important, and any changes to policy can have a profound impact on people's lives.
And to add fuel to the fire, Trump's appointment of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as U.S. Health Secretary has also been met with controversy. His stance on vaccinations, especially given the current climate, has raised concerns.
Yeah, I can see why people are concerned.
We're in the middle of a measles outbreak in Texas, and experts have linked it directly to the anti-vaccination movement.
This outbreak highlights the very real dangers of misinformation, particularly regarding public health. Measles is a highly contagious and potentially deadly disease, especially for young children and infants who are too young to be vaccinated and rely on herd immunity for protection.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder of the importance of scientific evidence and the need to critically evaluate information before accepting it as truth.
Definitely.
When it comes to health and well-being, relying on credible sources and expert advice is crucial.
You are absolutely right. We live in an age where misinformation can spread rapidly, and it's crucial to be discerning about the information we consume, especially when it comes to our health.
Now, for a bit of a lighter topic before we move on, Elon Musk has welcomed his 14th child into the world, but the name choice has sparked quite a bit of discussion.
No, I have heard about this. Selden Lycurgus.
Selden Lycurgus, yeah.
Quite a unique name. What is the story behind it?
Well, the name has connections to militant pseudoscience, which has some people concerned.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Given Musk's influence and platform, his choices, whether it's naming his child or expressing certain views, can have a significant impact on his followers.
That raises an interesting point about the responsibility that comes with fame and influence.
Right.
We often look up to these figures, but it's important to remember that they are human and make choices that may not always align with our values. It's a reminder that we should all be critical thinkers, regardless of who we admire or follow.
Yeah.
Blindly accepting someone's opinions without question can be dangerous.
And speaking of Elon Musk and perhaps not making the best choices, he's back in the news with another Tesla-related story, but this one might make you chuckle. The Tesla Cybertruck, known for its futuristic design, failed a basic snow test.
Oh, I have to hear about this. What happened?
Imagine this sleek, futuristic truck struggling to move through a few inches of snow.
Really?
It's quite a sight, and there's even an audio clip of the Cybertruck's wheels spinning helplessly.
Oh my God.
It seems like even our most innovative creations can have their limitations, and sometimes those limitations are caught on video for the world to see.
That's the beauty of the internet. It holds a mirror up to both our triumphs and our failures, and sometimes those failures are quite entertaining.
Indeed. Well, that wraps up part one of our deep dive into the news for today. Stay with us. We'll be back after a short break to discuss more pressing issues, including a controversial term circulating in the political sphere and a major cryptocurrency heist you need to know about.
Welcome back to our deep dive into today's top news stories. We have a lot more to cover, so let's jump right in.
Yeah, we left off talking about Elon Musk, and it seems he's a recurring theme in today's news cycle. But before we jump back into the world of tech billionaires, there's a concerning trend in the political sphere that we need to address.
Oh, what's that?
Well, there's this term that's been circulating, Trump derangement syndrome. It's being used to dismiss any criticism of former President Trump.
That's concerning. Instead of engaging with criticism and having open discussions about different viewpoints, it's attempting to pathologize dissent. It's a way to shut down any meaningful conversation or debate.
Right. It's basically framing those who disagree as mentally unstable.
Exactly. And it's dangerous because it delegitimizes opposing viewpoints and discourages people from expressing their concerns or engaging in critical discourse.
It creates an environment where people are afraid to speak out for fear of being labeled irrational or obsessed.
You are absolutely right. It's important to recognize these tactics and not let them deter us from having open and honest conversations about important issues. We should be able to disagree respectfully and engage in thoughtful debate without resorting to personal attacks or dismissive labels.
Now, this next topic is a bit sensitive, but I think it's important to address. Elon Musk has been under fire for allegedly making a Nazi salute.
Really?
He's denied it, but his responses have been, well, evasive, to say the least. This has sparked a lot of discussion and debate online.
This is a complex situation. On one hand, we need to take accusations of hate speech seriously. Such behavior is unacceptable and has no place in our society. But on the other hand, we also need to be cautious about jumping to conclusions without concrete evidence. We need to allow due process to take its course and not rush judgment.
It's about finding that balance between condemning hateful behavior and upholding the principle of due process.
Right.
We should strive to create a society where hate speech is not tolerated, but we also need to ensure fairness and protect individuals from false accusations.
Exactly. It's a delicate situation that requires careful consideration and nuanced discussion. It's important to avoid making assumptions and allow all parties involved to present their perspectives.
Shifting gears to another concerning issue, the measles outbreak in Texas.
Oh, right.
That's directly linked to the anti-vaccination movement. This outbreak highlights the very real dangers of misinformation, particularly when it comes to public health. Measles is a highly contagious and potentially deadly disease.
And newborns are at the highest risk because they are too young to be vaccinated. They rely on herd immunity, which means a high percentage of the population needs to be vaccinated to protect those who can't receive the vaccine themselves.
Yeah, when vaccination rates drop, herd immunity weakens, leaving vulnerable populations at risk.
It's a stark reminder of the importance of vaccination and the role it plays in safeguarding public health. It's also a reminder of our collective responsibility to protect the most vulnerable members of our community.
Speaking of public health, let's talk about a new development regarding Elon Musk's 14th child.
Oh, right, the name.
The name choice, Selden Lycurgus, has sparked quite a bit of controversy. Some argue that the name has ties to militant pseudoscience, raising concerns about the messages Musk might be sending, intentionally or not.
This situation raises interesting questions about the responsibility that comes with having a large platform and influence. Whether we realize it or not, our choices and actions can have a ripple effect, especially when we have a following.
I see what you mean.
It's a reminder to be mindful of the messages we send, even through seemingly personal decisions like naming a child.
It's a reminder that we should all strive to be responsible citizens and consider the potential impact of our actions. Our choices can influence others, and it's important to use our platforms, no matter how big or small, in a way that promotes positive change and contributes to a better world.
You are absolutely right. We all have a role to play in shaping our society, and it's important to be mindful of the impact we have on others.
Now let's move on from Elon Musk. Even though he seems to be everywhere in the news today, let's delve into another concerning story. In Texas, 44 Tesla wheels were removed from 11 vehicles in a parking lot.
What? Really?
Police are investigating, but the motive is still unclear. Some speculate it could be a case of vigilantism, with people taking matters into their own hands due to concerns about Tesla's safety.
That's wild. I guess this incident, while unusual, highlights the passionate feelings that Tesla evokes, both positive and negative.
Yeah.
It also underscores the growing concern about vehicle safety, particularly as we move towards more autonomous vehicles.
This incident, regardless of the motive, raises questions about security and the potential vulnerabilities of these vehicles.
It's a reminder that as technology advances, we need to ensure those advancements are accompanied by robust safety measures and security protocols.
Right. The transition to new technologies can be exciting, but it also requires careful consideration and a focus on mitigating potential risks.
You are right. We need to ensure that progress doesn't come at the expense of safety.
Switching gears back to politics, former President Trump is back in the headlines for allegedly breaking a campaign promise related to IVF treatments.
Oh, right. I'd heard something about that.
During his campaign, he promised to protect and fund IVF treatments. However, his actions seem to contradict those promises, leading to accusations of betrayal from those who rely on these treatments.
This situation highlights the importance of holding elected officials accountable for their campaign promises. It also underscores the impact that political decisions can have on people's lives, particularly when it comes to healthcare.
Right. Access to affordable and comprehensive health care is a fundamental right, and any changes to policy can have significant consequences for individuals and families.
This situation is particularly concerning because it involves reproductive health care, which is deeply personal and often surrounded by strong emotions and beliefs.
Exactly. When political decisions impact access to these vital healthcare services, it raises concerns about individual autonomy and bodily integrity.
You are right. This issue goes beyond just healthcare. It delves into the realm of personal freedom and the right to make choices about one's own body and reproductive health.
Now let's delve back into the world of cybersecurity. There's been a major development involving Bybit, a cryptocurrency exchange.
Uh-oh.
They were targeted in a massive hack, and an estimated $1.5 billion was stolen.
Wow.
The FBI has linked the attack to North Korea.
This is a significant event, potentially the largest crypto heist ever.
Right. It's insane.
It highlights the ongoing vulnerability of cryptocurrency exchanges to sophisticated cyber attacks. These exchanges handle vast sums of money, making them attractive targets for criminals.
And the fact that North Korea is allegedly behind it adds another layer of complexity to the situation.
Right. North Korea has become a major player in cybercrime, using stolen funds to finance its regime and evade sanctions. This incident is a reminder that cyber attacks are not just about financial gain. They can also be tools of geopolitical strategy, used by nation-states to achieve their objectives.
It seems like we've covered just about every corner of the news today.
We have, from cybersecurity and politics to ethical dilemmas and public health concerns.
It's been a whirlwind of information.
It has been a diverse and thought-provoking deep dive. It highlights the importance of staying informed and engaged with the world around us.
We encourage our listeners to continue exploring these topics, asking questions, and forming their own informed opinions.
Right.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the constant influx of news, but it's important to remember that knowledge is power.
You are right. Staying informed empowers us to make informed decisions and engage in meaningful discussions about the issues that shape our world.
Now, before we move on to our final segment, we want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. If a bioluminescent squid can become a culinary delicacy, what other seemingly strange or unexpected things might become commonplace in the future?
That is an excellent question. It challenges us to embrace change and to keep an open mind about the possibilities that lie ahead.
Right.
The world is constantly evolving, and what might seem strange or unconventional today could become the norm tomorrow.
It's a reminder to stay curious and adaptable. We should approach the future with a sense of wonder and be open to exploring new ideas and experiences.
Well said. Stay tuned for our final segment, where we'll wrap up today's deep dive with some concluding thoughts and a call to action.
Welcome back to our final segment. We still have a few loose ends to tie up, so let's dive back in. Remember that massive botnet targeting Microsoft 365 accounts?
The one using password spraying, right?
Exactly. Over 130,000 devices compromised. For our listeners who might have missed it, could you quickly break down how password spraying works and why it's so concerning?
Sure. Think of it like this. It's a brute force attack, but instead of trying tons of passwords on one account, they take a list of common passwords and try it across thousands of accounts.
Oh, I see.
Hoping to get lucky, someone using password 123 or something equally simple. And it's surprisingly effective because, well, a lot of people still use weak passwords.
So they're casting a wide net and hoping to catch some unsuspecting users. What can people do to protect themselves from this?
The first thing is strong, unique passwords for every online account.
Okay, so not using the same password for everything.
Exactly. At least 12 characters long, mix of upper and lowercase letters, numbers, symbols, that whole thing.
Right.
You can use a password manager to help you generate and store those. And enable multi-factor authentication wherever possible. It adds that extra layer of security.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Small steps can make a big difference. Okay, let's end on a lighter note. Remember that Tesla Cybertruck struggling in the snow? Well, the Cybertruck's adventures continue.
Oh no, what happened now?
There's a new video. It's pretty entertaining. They put it through another test, and this time it struggled to climb a small, snowy hill.
Oh wow.
Even cutting-edge technology has its limits, I guess.
Yeah, sometimes those limitations are exposed for the world to see. It's a good reminder to approach new technologies with a healthy dose of skepticism. Innovation doesn't always mean perfection.
Well said. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive for today. Cybersecurity, politics, ethical questions. It feels like we covered it all.
We did. We've explored a lot today, really highlighting the challenges we face in this ever-changing world.
And we hope it's given our listeners some things to think about. Remember, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.
Absolutely. And don't forget, critical thinking is key in this day and age.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.